Right, so here we are again, and welcome to the Virtual Cheese Awards 2024, showcasing the best of British cheese. I'm Nick Copland from Homage to Fromage. Today we're going to be judging the best cheese with savoury additives, and I'm joined today by our lovely judges, Stephen Fleming and Simon Ferro. And if you'd like to introduce yourselves, we'll start off this time with Steve.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I'm Stephen Fleming. I'm the owner of George and Joseph in Leeds. We've been trading that for about 10 years or so, and I've been working in cheese for about 12 years or so. Initially with you, Nick.
Yes,
like
exactly. Yes, we go way back. Simon.
Well, hello, yeah, I'm Simon Ferro. I am shop manager and head cheesemonger at the Courtyard area near Settle. Been working with Andy for about 8-ish years. I've kind of on off doing other bits and bobs as well. Do a lot of judging in around the country. So Alexander Cheese Awards, British Cheese Awards, done World Cheese Awards as well. But this is my first time doing an online cheese award, so really looking forward to it. Yeah, been very good.
Brilliant. Excellent. So, of course, we're going to be judging a number of cheeses in this class. Against appearance, aroma, texture and flavour, and the winner will be the cheese with the most points, which goes forward to the best of category stage finals, which are on Tuesday the 14th. Just want to quickly say thank you very much to Butlers for sponsoring us and Peter's Yard for their marvellous crackers. And so without further ado, I think we'll crack on to the first entry, which is D3 1004. So guys, if you want to unwrap. And that's an interesting looking.
Yeah, very interesting little package.
So very cool.
Oh, so let's start with appearance. And oh, look at that.
Ooh, see that?
Wow.
Okie doke. Who wants to go first on appearance? What are we going to say?
Very interesting looking, isn't it? It's
An interesting one.
Yeah, fantastic.
Got some kind of spice, looks like peppercorns, kind of ground black pepper or something like that on the outside.
Yeah, it does. I never on appearance, but I've just got a little hit of something peppery as I've unwrapped it. So yeah, but looks intriguing.
What do you reckon on appearance then? I mean, it's pretty dramatic, I think.
It is, yeah. I say for a cheese, it's very dramatic looking. So I'm almost imagining some kind of dinosaur egg or something like that. But it's, yeah, in a good way. It's it's like, wow, this is really intriguing.
I think
intriguing.
If you brought out a cheese board with that on it, so
yeah, this would be a real talking point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you could score it quite high for appearance. It's maybe 8.
What do you reckon, Steve? 8?
I would agree. Yeah, I would say an 8 or 9 on that in appearance. It's very striking.
Should we say 8.5?
Yeah.
Right. Fab. Okay. Right. Aroma. I mean, I think Steve, you already mentioned that you got a bit of a hit of some spices.
Yeah.
I think the aroma is just its additive, though. I think that's the thing. Until obviously we haven't cut it yet, so I might be worth it up and smell the paste as well.
Okay.
I think that's a good point.
It also looks like the additive is throughout the cheese as well, not just the coating. So appearance-wise, actually, it's in the cheese as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can just see that. I just put it up a bit closer.
Oh yeah.
It's in there as well as on the outside. Yeah, and the aroma is actually stronger in the center.
Yeah, I'm getting other notes as well, not just the peppercorns, I'm presuming, which is what's on the outside.
Yeah, I'm getting very much almost kind of wild garlicky.
Yeah, I was going to say garlicky, yeah.
Type notes. Not overpowering. Have to get fairly close up, but no red flag aromas either.
No.
All right. So what do we?
You've got flavour added cheese as well. I think you want the flavour added to have that aroma and taste that be balanced with the cheese. So I think that's quite a good smell. It's quite a feeling.
Drawing you in.
So what do we think, scores wise?
I think for aroma, probably I would say at about 7 again. It's not unpleasant. It's good.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there's different aromas
Happy with that?
in the center. So
Happy with that, Simon?
Yeah, very happy with that. Yeah.
7. Okay, so texture. I mean, obviously you've already cut into it, so you can have a bit more of a play with it and see, and then pop it. Maybe have a nibble just to see how it feels in the mouth.
I mean, it kind of does kind of crack and break.
Yeah, it's got like texture into it, hasn't it?
Yeah, when I cut into it, it just sort of fractured a bit, but yeah, so quite.
It goes through quite cleanly, I thought, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's quite a sort of soft, crumbly texture.
Texture in that mouth is that kind of, that kind of cloying, real mouth coating texture.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it does like kind of hang around a little bit as well.
Mm. And there's a sort of there is that sort of graininess from the exterior.
Yeah. I think that might be a slight downside because the texture is lovely and you get that kind of leftover like little bits. Not saying it's unpleasant in terms of the flavour, but
No, I mean, I'm kind of left with those little grainy bits at the end. Mm.
So in terms of the texture alone, what do you think in terms of a score?
I think initially good, but as I say, that graininess is a downfall for me. So I'd say maybe 6-ish.
Yeah, I would say about there as well.
6. And flavour-wise, the big one.
Mm.
You've got a lovely kind of that sharpness coming from the cheese. You do get some of the cheese flavour. Then there's that peppercorn hit, which, I quite like peppercorn, so I quite like that.
Yeah, I agree. That pepperiness just comes through, and it's nice and warming. It's not overpowering, but yeah, I like that there's that sort of sharpness that just cuts through initially.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting.
No, I was expecting I'm saying more richer, not quite as kind of clean.
Mm.
So overall on flavour, the score.
Could go as high as 8, but I'd be happy with a 7.
I was thinking a 7.
Can we say 7?
Let's say 7.
Let's say 7. 7 it is. Which gives us a grand total of 32. Excellent. Righty-ho.
Right. Yeah.
So the next one we have is D3 1005.
Okay. Another one of these little.
Another little bomb.
Yeah.
Presuming the same producer, different flavour add.
Yeah, the wrap is identical, isn't it? Just fighting its way a little bit with the rubber band.
Okay, again, I was actually expecting aroma-wise from that.
Okay, so appearance first. What do we think?
I think the flavour add on the outside is a little bit more moist. It's more liquid in the packaging. So I think when the packaging's been on it, it is actually left laying on that creases and taken away some of the flavour added when unwrapped. You can see kind of here on mine, there's like a bit of a white crease, things like that. Not as evenly distributed in terms of how it looks compared to the other one.
Yeah, I agree. The sort of consistency is not quite as good as it.
But it's still that kind of ball. I think, again, if it came out on a cheese board, people would be like, oh, what's that? So
exactly. So what do we think for appearance?
Maybe a 6.
I think a 6 on this one, yeah.
6 it is. Right, aroma.
I'm getting kind of like, like Thai spices, like lemongrass, ginger, that kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit paprika-y as well.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of almost maybe sort of smoked paprika.
Yeah.
A little bit of smokiness there.
I was
But yeah,
expecting
kind of.
chili flakes. When I looked through the kind of packaging, I was thought, oh, that's going to be like chili, dried chilies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what I was expecting.
Oh, there's something else there, isn't it? So
Yeah.
kind of cut into this and see whether that carries on inside.
Yeah.
So I would say probably not inside as much as maybe the peppercorn one.
No, no, the
Really
aroma's definitely on the rind.
Okay, so what do we think for aroma in terms of the score?
I like the aroma. It's nice. Got that kind of intensity and those kind of. It's got a few different layers to the aroma, I think. So I'd give it a good 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
And as we move on to texture,
Similar texture to the last cheese we had. So it's that kind of
yeah,
fracturing.
Yeah. For the cracks and breaks. Let's see.
yeah, same sort of texture.
Similar texture in the mouth as well.
So what do we think? Same sort of score on that in terms of texture? It was a 6 last time.
Was it a 6 last time?
I think you said 6 last time. Have you got any of those residual bits for this time around, or not so much?
There's many, there is still some, but I think maybe it's a little bit better texture without that. So
Okay.
maybe step it up a little bit.
Yeah. Can we
6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go with 6.5 on that one.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And finally, flavour.
There is some heat there that comes through at the end.
There's some definite heat at the end, but it's not. It's still that much sharpness up front. It's
So in terms of spicing, which is it's not all heat, because I think a lot of that's quite often how you manage the heat. So it's quite a mild, complex heat, is it, rather than anything punchy?
And like if you have like Tabasco sauce, that kind of
Yeah.
that's more like a vinegary, spicy chili heat rather than like chili.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does build a bit.
Yeah.
But I think because it's been distributed evenly on the outside of the cheese as well, it's not like having like bits of chili in it, which would give you, one mouthful maybe without the heat and one with.
Have you tasted just the taste in the centre, Steve? Or have you
I'm going to try that now. Yeah, just a centerpiece, which is maybe going to give you that.
You do get less chili, not having any of the outer coating on it.
Yeah.
But you would probably, because of the size of the cheese, probably always get a bit of the outer anyway.
Yeah, be doing quite well to get a bit that didn't have any of the
Yeah.
outer if that was being served up. So, yeah, that would be.
So in general on flavour, what do we think, score wise?
Maybe 7 again.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I do like chili. I think maybe that could be a bit too much. Maybe I don't know. Depends on personal preferences. Doesn't get heat and spicy things like that though. Because some people go, "Oh my god, that's really spicy," and some people be like, "But it's not that spicy." So
yeah, everyone has a different tolerance, don't they? Hello. Yeah, that's kind of. For me, I wouldn't want that to be any hotter.
Wouldn't want it to be any hotter, no, because I think it would overpower the cheese.
Yeah.
Okay. Righty ho. Well, that scores 30 out of 45, which is still pretty good. I think it just lost a couple of points for the appearance, slightly less than the other one. So moving swiftly on to D3 1007.
I've got a little tub for this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Like you can see that there on the top.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
yeah, that's a little
There's definitely some visual, looks like garlic.
yeah,
There may be a bit of thyme, something like that.
that's pretty actually. Looks nice. It certainly gives it a nice little wow factor when you take the lid off and go, okay,
Rather than like the sweet one we did, which is just plain.
yeah, just a blank blank canvas. That's interesting.
So on appearance, what do we think?
Looks like a nice little cheese.
Yeah, I think so. I'd put that about an 8 on appearance.
There's not too much stuff in there. You can still see the cheese.
Yeah.
An 8.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested to try it, which is
Yeah.
Well, I think that's always a factor with these things. Is that part of the whole business of appearance is if it makes you want to find out more, then it's a good thing. So so you both. So aroma wise, where are we? What do we think?
Open the lid, it did jump out, but I think that's dissipated a little bit now. Obviously,
Yeah.
Okay.
with volatile aromas. You can definitely see the flavour added is
Mhm.
some form of garlic.
some garlicky there. Yeah.
You can also smell kind of like an underlying like that fresh
Mhm.
cheese.
Yeah, the cheese is there, so they've got the balance is right that the garlic isn't marching all over the cheese,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, okay. What do we think to aroma then?
I think the aroma is good. I think maybe an 8 again.
I think I agree an 8. There's nothing again. There's nothing to go. Oh gosh, that's too strong or it's too insipid.
Oh.
It's good. It's balanced.
Okay, good. Balance. Good. And if you want to start having a bit of a go with it texture wise, see where you are.
Where it's quite a clean kind of cut, again using a spoon, going through the cheese, quite like the way it kind of pulls off the spoon and off the cheese.
Yeah, it's kind of a sort of a ricotta type texture, isn't it? In terms of the way the spoon moves.
It's quite a delicate mouthfeel as well.
Very smooth.
I like that's good. Good feel.
Very creamy. The mouth feels like it's almost like sort of sort of extra thick double cream that you get. Really,
So luxuriant.
yeah, very luxurious mouthfeel. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that feel.
Mm.
So definitely not as cloying as some of the other two we've had so far in this category.
No, it kind of cleans off quite easily, doesn't it? It's there, and then it just gently goes.
So what do we think for texture?
That's like push a 9 for texture.
Yeah, I would say so.
9.
I really like that texture. That's really good.
Tremendous. And segueing into flavour, seeing as we're eating it.
Try a bit without the topping.
True. I still think there's flavour within the paste of the cheese. It's not just
Yeah.
got,
Me too.
you do get these little pieces, but I don't know whether that's I pushed it through with the spoon.
Yeah, whether it's actually blended through into the cheese.
Yeah. It's good flavour. It's not too overpowering. You can taste the cheese. It's got that kind of lemony note to it, the cheese, so like a young fresh.
Yeah, it's got nice citrusy notes on that. Yeah, definitely getting kind of lemons and limes on the flavors.
It's a balance as well because that flavour added is not overpowering. And that could be, it's again, it's another overpowering flavour. With all these kind of flavour added, you could have so many overpowering or underpowering flavours.
Yeah. I think the thing with additive cheese with added flavors is it's all about the balance.
Yeah.
I think that one of the reasons why people look away from additive cheese because they're all about the additive and the cheese just so this is so I guess one of the things we're looking at a lot with in this class is the balance of the cheese, the flavor from the cheese and whatever's been added to it. So we're saying this is nicely balanced.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think it's quite Moorish. I think it's a,
I think I'm trying that right. I've got loads of cheeses to do. Don't keep going at it.
yeah.
Don't peak too soon, Steve.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
So what do we think in terms of flavour on this one?
I'd say 9.
Yeah, I think so.
9?
Yeah.
Say 9? Fantastic. Steaming into the lead at 38.5 points, so that's rather good. Excellent. Which brings us swiftly on to D3 108. 1008, sorry.
Oh, we're back in the world of these
The bombs.
On the board again.
Yeah. What have we got this time?
Without going into it too far, it looks like pepper again.
Yeah, it does look quite similar to the first one, doesn't it?
Ah, okay. Not what I was expecting.
Okay.
So appearance-wise,
Again, striking because of the shape,
mhm,
evenly coated.
Yeah.
And probably the same supplier or producer as the first 2 we did.
yeah.
Again, it's striking. If you saw that on the cheese border counter, you would be drawn to it and go, "What is this? We want to find out some more."
So we think what sort of score for appearance do we think?
Probably say 7. Like across the board, I think we were saying 7, weren't we, for these shapes?
Yeah, my feeling was the same as the others. That the similar sort of style.
Well, just to recap, you gave the very first one, which looks similar, 8.5 for appearance.
Oh, no, wow.
Yeah. It was the second one which had a less even distribution. I think we knocked that down a bit. But I think if that one's on the same,
Got a tiny bit of moisture that's come through onto the wrapper,
okay.
which
So
Lingering on the cheese. Say maybe you got that in your cheese one, that was the side facing upwards, a little bit less on appearance, a bit more moisture. But
okay. What do we think?
Yeah.
Say again, sorry?
That'd be kind of, if you like that kind of wet look,
Yeah.
sweet it, that would be.
So what sort of score for appearance?
Maybe up to 7.5, maybe I'd say.
I'm thinking 7.5 too, yeah.
7.5, perfect. Anyhow, aroma?
So initially when I opened it, aroma is intense.
Yeah, it's dissipated now, hasn't it?
Dissipated now, but I still get the kind of peppercorns which are obviously on there. I'm getting truffle, so I have a funny feeling this is pepper and truffle. Truffle's not too dominant though. You can still smell the peppercorns.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, because it's very easy for truffle to just march all over everything inside. Yeah. And this doesn't, but there is a hint of it there.
Mm-hmm. Right, so what do we think about in terms of the score for aroma? I mean, you're going to have a go on the interior.
Yeah.
Much more truffle on the interior.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? In fact, that truffle is then coming over the pepperiness for me.
Can't smell pepper now in the core. Still quite a nice aroma though. It's not unappealing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's appealing and it's not overpowering. I'm not the world's greatest truffle fan, but it's not putting me off. So,
I love truffle. I'm the only one who hasn't got any. The irony. So, for aroma, what do we think?
Probably 7.5.
7, yeah, 7.5. It's not
7.5, I think.
Yeah,
7.5.
Yeah. And on to texture, which I believe is probably going to be very similar to.
Yeah, again, it's kind of a bit sort of crumbly, cracky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining that the mouthfeel is going to be more like the first of these little bombs that we had.
Yes, yeah, rather than the second one.
Yeah, it's a very similar texture.
So we'll be getting some of for the first one, we said it was, really nice, crumbly, and then coating, but a few bits left. Are we saying just got the
Those
same?
bits, yeah, from those peppercorns, which
Yeah.
for myself.
Yeah. So we'll give it roughly. I mean, I think we gave it a 6 for the first time round. So I think unless there's anything radically different,
I think that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
great. And then into flavour.
Again, it's one of those, it's got a nice sharp kick to it, a nice lemony kind of note to it. Truffle
Yeah.
doesn't really dominate, which I'm surprised about. I thought the truffle might kind of dominate that cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that truffle flavour is right through. I've just had a bit from the very centre.
Okay.
And yeah, it's there, but yeah, again, speaking as not a big truffle fan, that's quite balanced. I'm okay with that in terms of the level of truffle.
Yeah.
Again, a bit like we said with the one with the heat before. I know that
Yeah.
everyone's take on this is different. Some people are like, oh, that's not truffle enough for me. But I think that's a nice balance because it doesn't march over the cheese.
I think again the balance is good.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking score-wise?
I don't know, maybe about 7.5, 8.
Yeah, we could say 8. I think that's good. I think the pepper and the truffle work quite well together, actually. It's kind of like heat and then that kind of truffly note. So yeah.
Okay, so we could say 8 for that one because that makes. I think the first one with just the pepper was a 7.
Yeah.
So I think that truffle's just giving it a little extra lift.
Yeah, and this will have been a more difficult cheese to get that balance right because there's two quite dominant flavors going on.
Exactly.
So there's a credit to them for getting that balance.
Yeah. Great. So that comes in at 33 points. Slightly more than the other two in that ilk. And then that brings us to D3 1012.
So with this one, did you get a grater, Steve?
I did, yes.
This one says it has to be grated.
Yes, so we
I
have
haven't
to.
grated any yet. Comes in a little muslin. That's quite cute.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. I like that. Grate or shave, it says.
Oh, it's a grate or shave. Very good. Don't know if you can see that. It's another spherical ball. Looks like pepper on it again.
Yeah, I like the reveal of it from the muslin because you're not sure what you're going to get compared to the others in the cellar. So
okay.
With it on my cheese board, within the muslin still like around it.
Yeah, sort of nestled in.
Quite nice looking if you had to serve it like that. But again, if you've got to grate it.
That's some kind of prehistoric bird's egg or something like that.
Definitely got the intrigue factor going, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. They've nailed that.
So in terms of appearance, first out the box or out the muslin, as it were, made quite an impact.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and I think, and I know we're judging the cheese, but I think the presentation and the packaging counts for something as well.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And also, you'd think with these kind of spherical cheeses we've been having, if they were slightly off spherical, that would actually probably be a negative. So this one, very, very.
They are, yeah. And I'm getting, look like they've been hand rolled or hand shaped, which is a lovely touch as well because they're very nicely spherical, but they're not absolutely perfect, which would, it's just I like the fact that there's a bit of.
But like a more
so they look handmade rather than sort of pressure molded or anything into a round shape. So.
Yeah, there's obviously a handmade process here.
So what do we think to appearance before we start shaving and grating?
Yeah.
So I
really like it.
Give it an 8. Righty ho. Aroma.
It's not actually too intense, I find.
Yeah, I'm not getting a huge amount of this.
Maybe if it's been in the muslin, maybe it's lost some of that through that muslin because it's
Yeah, because the cellophane will trap those aromas in, won't it?
yeah.
This is a bit
Yeah.
brew. And it's I know this is texture rather than aroma, but it's definitely slightly drier texture on the outside.
Hence maybe the grating.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what do we think to aroma?
You think?
Good question. Should we chop it before we grate? See what the aroma's like. Gosh, it's hard, isn't it? Oops.
It's a hard one, yeah.
Yeah.
So much more intense inside. Again, actually getting truffle again.
Yeah, I am now. Yeah. But more subtle than the previous one.
Could we be looking at similar cheese just with a bit of age or different, slightly different make but same flavor profile? It's
Yeah, and the maturation and the muslin maybe is different. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I
And
wouldn't
it's
say
firmer and more, a little bit more brittle.
Hmm. So for the aroma, then I think we're in the sort of 7s to 8s on that.
maybe it's 7.5.
Yeah.
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 7.5.
Yeah.
And the texture, obviously, as you cut into it, I mean, I think it's going to be, we're going to need to grate or shave it just because that's the instruction.
It's quite a lot firmer. It doesn't
Yeah.
much, so yeah.
See there, as I cut that, it's like kind of those, it's fallen apart in kind of where the fractures are in the cheese.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive with the cut. The way it kind of falls apart, but it's actually still a nice, let me see the core there.
Yeah.
Whoops. That's off. Yeah, this is quite firm, that.
I'm going to grate a bit of mine. Are you shaving, Steve, or are you grating as well?
I've got the same little grater you've got. I think that sounds a bit better.
Okay.
It grates nicely.
It does, yeah.
Imagine having that on some pasta or something like that.
Mm.
Let's see.
But the aroma's not changed with the grating.
No.
Mm.
That does have a stronger flavour than the last one.
It does.
I want a real peppery hit come through right at the very end.
Texture, I think when you grate it, it does melt in the mouth because it's those small filaments of that grated.
Yeah, it just sort of dissolves, doesn't it?
I have tried a bit without the grating.
Yeah, let me just try that as well.
There's a nice burn, that nice hardness to it.
Yeah, it's something to chew on, isn't there?
Yeah.
Mm.
The way your teeth go through that is quite pleasant as well. So it's actually nice both grated and not grated, and the texture is quite good for both.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And what about the flavors? A bit more, did you say it's a bit more intense?
A bit more
a bit
intense. Yeah, and more of a peppery hit at the end.
Do you think that because it could be drier as well? Those pepper notes come out because it's that kind of drier.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? Yeah.
As we're salivating through those peppercorns, it's loosening them and then becoming hot.
Yeah. But again, the pepper and the truffle are nicely balanced.
Balanced, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. You kind of get that the truffly flavour first, and then the pepper creeps up a bit later on.
And the cheese is quite creamy in terms of how it tastes. It's got that kind of real creamy note to it.
So just to go back to texture and give a score for that. Now we've tried it grated and ungrated, and what do we think?
I think the texture's good, and I like both the grated texture and the harder cheese texture. So I think I'm looking at maybe an 8 or maybe
Yeah, they are done. The 8's good.
So 8.5 or 8?
No,
8. 8.
Okay.
Perfect. And flavour, just on flavour alone?
The intensity at the finish could be off-putting for some. I think it's quite good and quite balanced. I could say maybe 7, 7.5.
Yeah, I'll be happy with 7.5 on that one, I think.
7.5.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Great.
You see what I did there?
All the cheese puns today, Nick.
I'll tell you what, that's why, that's the only reason I'm here. I know nothing about cheese, I just know a few puns. That's all I've got, really. So I'm inputting our scores as I go along, so I can give you a bit of a running total. And you'd be pleased to know that one hit 34.75, which is a great score. Tremendous. Okie doke. Which brings us on to the next one, which is D3 1046.
Oh, it's another one in a little pub.
Aha.
Looks like it's sitting in a little bit of liquid again.
Yeah. Okay.
Definite kind of chive notes coming and visual green bits in the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
To the camera, just about.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like this has been probably spooned into this container, doesn't it?
Maybe reblended.
Maybe, yeah.
Or like,
yeah, whipped or something.
Additive put in afterwards.
Yeah.
I always find it hard to
So what do we think?
maybe judge these types of cheeses, because the one that we had before that got the 1007 looked really nice on the top. This
Yeah.
one, kind of rustic, maybe is a better term for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to imagine it on a big piece of crusty bread or something, because that would that the visual appeal. It's about the context, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is the visual, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
What do we say?
6.
6. Perfect. Alrighty. And what do we think for aroma?
Aroma did jump out at me as soon as I did open that tub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still there actually.
Yeah, it's still there.
I haven't anticipated much. So again, those kind of chivy, sort of oniony elegant type thing. Yeah, I think it's given me a good idea of what I'm going to get taste wise.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
What do we think score wise for aroma? Pleasant, fresh, nice.
Have you put your spoon through it yet, Steve? Yeah,
I'm just about to do that now. Yeah.
I've just smelled the hole that I've made with my spoon, and that aroma jumps out again.
Oh, it does. Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of it's come off the surface, hasn't it? But it's then it's still held inside.
So in terms of aroma scores,
I think that's a 7.
Yeah, 7 maybe. Yeah, I think maybe it just would lose those few marks anyway off the top of it, just because the cheese, you can't really smell cheese. You smell
yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, a good point. No point.
Should we say 6.5?
Yeah.
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 So texture wise, what do we think? It's quite clearly soft and almost spreadable, is it?
Maybe not as soft as I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, it's a bit kind of flaky.
More kind of pieces.
Yeah.
Cream cheese almost. Which is maybe what I was expecting from it, I don't know. Definitely some form of flavoured ricotta.
Yeah, it's got that kind of
graininess, yeah.
But
it also has that nuttiness at the end. But this is going on to flavour, sorry, we're doing texture. Jumping ahead.
Jumping the gun there, you see. I mean, it's quite, to be honest, it's difficult because sometimes the texture and the flavour, and the mouth feel and the aroma, once it's in your mouth, they're all tied up together. So teasing them apart sometimes not always that easy with a with a cheese particularly like this. But I get it in terms of, I guess with texture, it's really how it behaves in front of you and how you cutting into it or whatever it is. That gives us, and we can wrap things up with that. So in terms of a texture, what do we think?
I think the mouthfeel is good. It has that kind of what you'd expect from a ricotta cheese.
Yeah.
It's a good example of that.
Yeah.
Good marks for that. The way it pulls apart in the tub is quite nice. I'd say maybe 7.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. I think with these, a lot of the time, it's sort of measuring them really against expectation, in terms of its texture. What it looks like a slightly spreadable cream cheese type of thing. And if the texture reflects that, then
I think before I started digging into it, I was expecting it to be less ricotta and more kind of creamier. But then when I break it, it's like, okay, this is going to be a bit different. So it wasn't quite what I was expecting, but that's fine. Yeah.
I've noted that down. That's great. And finally, flavour.
It's intense with its flavour add. Not saying that's bad.
And is it distinctive what that flavour add is?
I think it's chive.
Chives.
Yeah, I agree.
Not as kind of sweet as onion, but not too harsh, if that makes sense. It's
yes.
There's no bitterness there at all, is there? Which
no.
if there's onions, you might get some bitterness in there. But, I mean,
I actually think the salt balance is quite good in this as well. If it was undersalted, the cheese wouldn't, I don't think, shine as well. Because I think you do get some notes from that cheese.
Yeah, it's all there, isn't it? Because with ricotta, that can be quite hard, can't it? Because ricotta can be quite delicate and quite plain.
Yeah.
It's got quite
so overall, flavour-wise, what are we thinking?
I could say 8, but I like the flavour add.
Steve?
Yeah, I like it. I've not had anything quite like. I've not really had that much of the way flavoured ricottas like this. So
no, I wouldn't have thought of it to be that style of cheese. Hence that cream cheese.
Yeah, I was kind of heading down a Borsan type angle, but yeah, I would say an 8 on that.
Yeah, okie doke, good. Which brings it in at 31.5. Again, very good score. And that brings us to D3 1053.
Just about harder cheese.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got a wedge.
So presume cut from a larger cheese. My thing with vacuum packed cheeses is if this is how this is presented, whether it's sold supermarket, deli, cheese shop, etc., it always leaves that kind of that appearance. I don't know if you can see that kind of, it leaves the marks. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an imprint of the vac.
Oh yes.
That leaves the vacuum pack impression on it almost.
And I got the same.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Natural, right? Maybe plastic coated, I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
It looks like a natural one, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a piece of cheese on your cheese board.
Yeah, it does. If you looked up cheese in the dictionary, that's what it would look like.
Kind of thing you would get. Yeah, I thought Google image search would throw back at you, isn't it? One of those.
You can see some flavour add throughout. It's got the colour maybe from an ad or from just a colouring.
So in general, on appearance,
I don't think it would score low. I don't like the marks that the vacuum pack has left behind, so I could say 6.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
6 it is. So aroma.
Yeah, I think as cheese professionals would obviously clean the cheese maybe before service, but if you're not experienced, you just pop it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as strong aroma. I have to get quite up close to it.
Maybe it's orange from like a smoked paprika kind of, very gentle. It's not smoked, I don't think, but it's got that
No,
smoky aroma.
there is a little bit of smokiness. Yeah, and again,
I might just pop the nose off and just have a little smell of the.
Yeah.
crack it.
Actually, it's no. I don't think it's much different from actually smelling the.
No, no, it's about the same, isn't it? Yeah.
It's not an intense aroma. It's not unpleasant.
Okay. So what do we think to aroma?
It's quite light. I
Mm,
can't discern what flavour add it might well be, so I'd maybe be 6, 5.5, 6.
I think so. Yeah.
5.5.
Yeah, I think a 5.5 on that.
Perfect. Texture-wise, I mean, it's clearly got a nice sort of texture to break and crumble a little.
Yeah, quite crumbly.
These kind of rubbery, bendy processed cheeses that you can get that flavour added
Mm.
and hot.
Yeah, you can see looking at it, it's the way it kind of fractures.
Yeah.
For the camera to focus on. Oh, come on. Doesn't want to focus. Yeah, anyway.
I think the mouthfeel texture in the mouth is quite. I think it's very balanced. I think it's quite, when it's crumbly, but it's not then those crumbles are melting in the mouth, they're actually lingering.
Yeah. It's deceptive. It's crumblier. The texture feels crumbly, especially in the mouth, and it looks from the piece.
Yeah.
That's the vac packing, I think, has maybe
Maybe.
caused that to lead me in the slightly wrong direction. But
They start like melting in the mouth though, and they're just kind of there.
Mm. What do we think on texture?
There's a little bit of powder into things, maybe 5 or 6.
I think maybe
Steve?
5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
Let's go 5.5 then. And flavour-wise,
I think you can taste the cheese more so than the flavour add.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
With that nice sharp acidity of a crumbly cheese.
If I was blindfolded, I wouldn't necessarily know it was a flavour add.
I can't pick out what it is.
No, I mean neither. I thought from the aroma that it might be some. I was kind of thinking something chivy, but
But it looks like it's got green bits in it, so it
Yeah.
might have green chive in it,
but I'm not really getting it coming through on the flavour.
you do get a slightly savoury note to it, but I can't pick out where that's coming from, whether it be cheese or the flavour add.
No, I mean there's nothing.
It's not pleasant.
It's balanced.
Yeah.
It's not too sweet. It's not too savory. It's not too bitter. It's not. It's
Maybe it's just a light cheese that the producer wanted to have as a light example of a light flavour add and a nice fresh.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so overall on flavour, what do we think?
I think it's good. I could say maybe 6.5, 7.
Yeah, I would agree with 6.5. I think that's.
But the flavour add not coming through sufficiently to.
No.
Yeah. So 6.5.
Yeah. But that might have been the intention.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not unpleasant, and you've got that gentle hint coming through, but not not distinctive. I think that's the thing with a
Be like this.
thing
I
with
want to at least shine a little bit. Like
yes.
kind of what
So you kind of know what it is without having to think too hard.
Yeah.
Because I think that otherwise it's just a nice tasting cheese, which is fine. So okay, so we'll give it 6.5. This brings us in 26. Righty ho, folks, which brings us on to D3 1079.
Wow. So we're in a bit of wax paper here.
Yeah, so nicely wrapped.
Nice presentation, yeah.
You can see the cheese through. So most probably some form of yard. You can see.
Yeah. Telltale signs there of those
On the top.
nettle leaves.
So appearance-wise, what do we think?
I always really like the way that yards look.
Yeah. I love the way that you get the pattern, the mold patterning around the jagged edges of the nettle leaves. I think it's really good look, especially
really intriguing.
Yeah.
when you see the whole cheese as well. I mean, you get some of this from these pieces, but when you see the entire cheese, it really is quite dramatic.
Quite striking. Yeah. So I think the appearance is very good. It's excellent.
Yeah, I'd agree. And and very distinctive. There's no instantly recognizable. There's no one else doing that I found doing something the same. So you couldn't mistake it for anything.
Absolutely. Very, very distinctive. And also, obviously, we all know what cheese it is, but I think if you first saw it on a cheese board, you'd instantly be drawn to it as something that looked interesting.
Yeah.
With I mean, it wears its distinctiveness on its sleeve, as it were, because you can see what it is, and it delivers that sort of intrigue in all sorts. So yes, I can comment on that because I can actually see the cheese here, you see, whereas I can't taste it, but I can say even on screen it jumps out, which is great. And what about, so that's really the external, what about the internal, the paste, and how does it look on the...
It's very even. It's got that nice slight bit of kind of breakdown. I don't know if you can see at the end nose of mine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just a little bit under the rind, isn't it? Yeah.
That's quite nice to have.
Very.
Yeah, again, looks good. Obviously, there might be a slight drying there because it's been in wax paper for X amount of time to us, so travel damage can't mark it down for that.
Yeah.
No. So for appearance, what do we think?
9.
That's a 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Solid 9. Great. Okie doke. And aroma.
I always get that kind of nice, I like the smell of the rind, the kind of that mold smell that you get from the rind. It's not flavor added really, like in terms of you can't metals, because that's definitely what's on the top there. But that white that's growing, I love the smell of that in like a cheese shop or the cheese you get home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? It's that kind of, to my mind, it's that kind of classic cheese mold smell.
It's like, is it like PC that you get that smell, that white that's coming, or is that kind of like you get those like brie notes to it, or that kind of earthy?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's got that kind of. I'm trying to avoid using the word mushroomy, but it's kind of got that kind of.
Yeah.
We're
gonna have, as cheese people are gonna have to find a better word than mushroomy. Given the fact there's hundreds of different sorts of mushroom. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's got that. There's that sort of cheesy, right? Good cheese rind smell.
Yeah. It's not an intense aroma. It is a.
Yeah, you have to get pretty close to it, don't you? But it's there, and it's quite.
It's a clean aroma. It's not like there's anything wrong with it.
No, that's right.
Do you want to? Yeah. So, do we want to give it a score?
Considering what we've scored from the other cheeses that have very intense aromas, probably 7.
Yeah. Good, but it's
It's delightful, but very subtle.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Texture-wise. and feel free to attack said cheese.
Got that kind of lovely close texture to it. Slightly supple.
Yeah, it's got a nice little bit of spring to it, hasn't it?
Got a nice kind of mouth coating kind of character with the fat that's left behind.
Yeah, it doesn't crumble like the previous one kind of just crumbled when you bit into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of got a bit more.
Somewhere almost.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been aged for a little bit longer to have that kind of squidgy suppleness just under that rind. It's a lovely contrast between that firm rind where the nettles are
Yeah.
and that kind of real softness. I think that's very good.
I agree. I like that a lot.
Okay, so just on texture, sort of a score we thinking?
I mean, like 8.5 on texture. I think it's.
Anything less than 8.5, I don't think would be fair.
8.5?
Yeah.
And finally, flavour.
Lots of lovely dairy notes I found when I had a bit in my mouth
Yeah.
previously.
It's an interesting one to have in a flavour add category because obviously the add is from the nettle leaves on the exterior, but it's very gentle.
Wrap rolled or processed, whatever they
Yeah,
class.
wrap roll process, but it's just really good.
Good cheese. It's a good cheese.
Yeah.
It's different.
Very balanced.
Very well. It's not an intense cheese. You don't expect an intense flavour from it. But I think those notes, that kind of slightly savoury, slightly kind of creamy dairy notes, are good. Good.
Yeah. There's a little tang in there as well. It just sort of lurks around.
Are you getting that kind of mid palate as well? So not kind of like as you're eating it.
Yeah. So midway through it just pops its head up and says hello, and it's not going to bite you. It's just another little complexity into the flavour that's coming through, which is really good.
Which is good. Another dimension.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to throw out there no less than a 9.
I would say so. Yeah.
Lovely. Okie doke. So you'll be pleased to know that cracking in at 38 points, which is marvellous. Okie doke. Which brings us to D3 1111.
So this is in a jar.
Aha.
Blimey. Ooh.
Even without opening, I think the appearance is nice. Cheese suspended in some form of oil, quite yellow, so potentially rapeseed oil, maybe.
Yeah. I love the golden colour of it. The appearance is very striking of that.
Right.
Crack it open.
Quite an intense aroma straight off the bat.
Oh yeah. But is that the oil? That's the oil rather than the cheese, isn't it?
Yeah. I think you can maybe see from, it's gone off the thing. I don't know if you can. I've seen the bottom.
Oh yeah,
there.
the bottom. Yep.
Ones and look, it looks definitely to be thyme.
Yeah. And some peppercorns in there as well.
So you can definitely see the flavour add. So as an appearance goes, that could be a positive.
Yeah.
Yep. Good. And the aroma at the moment, we're just getting from the whole product.
Yes.
So maybe it's a.
Time to fish a little bit out. Well, yeah, that oil is very, very yellow, isn't it? I wonder whether they've added something into that for colouring as well.
You do get these kind of like Yorkshire rapeseed oils, which are very
Yeah.
bright.
They are bright, aren't they?
Yeah. When you kind of break into it and then look at the cheese,
Yeah, I've done this.
Mm.
so it's much whiter.
Paler inside, yeah.
So yeah.
Dripping on my nice tablecloth that I do.
So what about the aroma of the cheese itself, if you can get some under your nose? And
I think because the oil has coated it, it's still quite that dominant aroma, which is,
Yeah, I'm getting the oil. I'm also getting some of the herbs as well.
you do get that kind of real nice, just like lactic notes
mm.
from the cheese itself. Like a saline note as well, slightly.
Yeah.
So what do we think to appearance, score-wise?
I think the appearance is good, you know, it comes in a jar, you can see all the bits and bobs, you can see the cheese, and people will be wondering if they didn't know the type of cheese, they'd be wondering, oh, what's that? It's exciting.
Yeah, it's striking and it's intriguing, yeah.
Yeah.
So what sort of score?
I could go 8.
Yeah, I'd say eight and a half, given that there's,
Yes.
it's quite distinct in what it is, isn't it? So
And the aroma?
And also the cheese actually in the jar is not all broken into little pieces. You know, if someone would shake that jar, you could end up breaking all, you'd be like, yeah, it would look nice, but
Yeah.
I think the aroma's good.
yeah, I agree.
Cheese and oil.
I think it's leading you into how it's going to taste, so that's a good thing.
So what about a score for aroma?
Dare I say it's going to sound really maybe basic, but you know when you get the smell of a Greek salad when you first get it served when you're on
Yeah.
holiday, that's
Yeah.
good as well. That
Yeah, actually, yeah, just sort of transported into that, isn't it?
tastes, yeah. I think the aroma's good.
I think it's really good, yeah. I think we'll put that another 8 again.
8, another 8, lovely.
Yeah.
And then obviously into texture with one eye on flavour, I think, because you're probably just going to be able to.
So from a personal point of view, I'm a little bit biased to this type of cheese just because I lived and worked in Cyprus for a little bit. So I eat cheese all the time, kind of young fetas, aged fetas, different preserved fetas, and that is what I get from that. So it takes me definitely back to a previous life almost. It also is quite clean because some of those products can be quite claggy.
Yeah.
I think texturally the cheese is nice. And I think the oil is that transport for that flavour and that kind of maybe moisture.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm thinking correctly, you could brine a product like that, and that brine maybe might make more dry and feel in the mouth, whereas the oil makes a more, dare I say, oily feel in the mouth.
Yeah, so it's silkier, isn't it, for the oil?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what about texture score?
Probably 8 again, maybe for myself.
Yeah, Steve, happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the texture.
Mm.
It does look right in the mouth, but then it leaves a nice kind of, it creamies out, and it kind of goes that creamy way.
Yeah.
Before the swallow. It's good. Flavors, in terms of flavor, not so intense actually. In terms of
it's nice, but there's nothing. I'm not getting a huge amount from the herbs and the peppercorn.
I think that's just in there maybe to infuse that oil and give that oil a little bit of extra flavour.
Yeah. Mm.
I'll be quite with an 8.5, 9 for flavour, I think, but I like this type of cheese.
Like I say, I mean, it's ready to go on a salad, isn't it? It's just banging. You just sort of you can use the cheese. You can just pour your instant dressing there as well with the oil, haven't you? So it's just good to go.
And the flavors themselves, obviously, herbs of thyme and that's coming through in a nice balanced way, is it? And it's a
Flavor add is light. The cheese taste is actually, I think, more intense than the flavor add.
Yeah.
okay. Brilliant. Okay, well, let's put that into the doodah and we'll see where we get to. Right, 36.75. Excellent.
Is that our highest one so far in the category?
No, highest so far is the previous one, the one we've just done, which was the Yarg.
Yeah.
Or rather, should I say D3 1079 to you and I.
Naming no names.
Naming no names and showing no prejudices.
Whatsoever.
So, which brings us on to D3 1113.
Oh.
So it's in some kind of perforated cellophane.
Yeah. So it should be so quite moist. And having said that, there's nothing quite like Cornish Yarg with that nettly pattern. This is not a million miles away from that.
Yeah, so it's got either a single leaf on it, hasn't it, like a vine leaf or something, looking at it through the packaging, or so you probably can see
Oh, that's nice.
present that way.
Mm-hmm.
Has got probably one leaf, so there is a little bit of exposure of the cheese on the bottom.
Yeah.
Or depending on which way around.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice that.
The whole cheese as well, it always looks more impressive. Like a whole cheese like this looks always good on a cheese board. Cut
Yeah.
cheese gives a different dimension shape, but cheese like this you'd expect to do the whole one, not half or something like that.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, worse, doesn't it? You can see why people go for this kind of sort of shape and size of individual cheese at Christmas, because it just gives you a big standout on a cheese board, doesn't it?
So in terms of appearance, sorry.
I think
What do we?
have you got yours cheese up, Steve?
Yes. Yeah.
I think turning it up the other way is the line of the vein of the leaf on the centre of your cheese.
Oh yeah.
I think that's been done very carefully.
It has been very carefully applied, hasn't it? Yeah, look at that. That's right down the centre. Yeah, that's been very deliberately applied, hasn't it?
Yep. So you can see that vein going out across the cheese.
Yeah.
So in terms of appearance, what sort of a score?
Maybe 9.
Oh, that's a 9 for that. Just that level of detail.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And it's nice.
Yeah,
it's intriguing. I'm drawn in. I want to try it. I want to see what it looks like inside.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
It's already making me wonder what the flavour's going to be. I'm like, oh, what's this going to be?
Yeah.
The leaf they added, like one of the previous ones, or is it like going to have a flavour? Well, yeah, exciting.
Okie doke. So aroma wise,
not much.
Honestly, not a huge aroma on the leaf side.
No.
If you smell the cheese, I've got some cracks coming on, so suggesting there's a bit of breakdown on that rind. I've got a crack.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that could be leaching some aromas.
I think we're going to get hit with aromas when we cut into this one. Going in.
Well, definitely some breakdown on the back of that knife there. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice ooze.
I know we're flipping into texture here, but look at that.
No, that's fantastic.
Really gooey under the rind there. Yeah, and there's the aroma there.
Colour and aroma would suggest not cow.
Yeah, I'm thinking more sheep. And the colour of the paste as well would leave you too, wouldn't it? Quite
So what do we think? What do we think about the aroma in terms of?
Quite a unique aroma, actually. I think it's quite a
gentle. Kind of savoury, biscuity aroma.
Oh.
It's got something there like that, hasn't it?
Yeah, something kind of malty.
Could that be coming from the rind underneath that leaf?
Could be. Yeah, it could be.
And what is the leaf, do we think? Because
I
it
think
doesn't
it's
look like an...
vine leaf.
Pardon?
Could be a vine leaf, the way it's kind of shaped.
Yeah.
Or could it be like a chestnut leaf? I don't know
That's
how.
not, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm going to hazard vine leaf,
Yeah.
given the size. I think, and the colour.
Yeah, it looks vine to me.
Chestnut tends to be browner, I think,
Yeah, and bigger as well.
Yeah, that's
and thicker
basically-
and
yeah.
and fairly inedible. So the texture is really nice and gooey, and it's kind of a bit firmer towards the centre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it maybe a touch overripe?
Yeah, it's a bit too much breakdown there, maybe. It's like kind of,
But the centre's starting to fall away, isn't it?
yeah.
You know. So what sort of a score for aroma now we've opened it up and had a look at it?
I think it was a gentle aroma. I don't think if the flavour added is the leaf, it doesn't bring too much to the cheese. You get more from the cheese.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Say 6.5, 7.
I'm thinking 6.5 on aroma, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
Okie doke. And texture.
Well, you've obviously got the ooze, which is very appealing to most. You know,
Yeah.
but again, as Steve said, it has maybe broken down a bit too much under the rind there.
Yeah.
Giving that kind of real firm centre. It could be more like a creme fraiche texture, actually, that centre. No, I've just popped the knife and it's solid.
Mm. So there's quite a contrast between the under the rind and the centre.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try a bit.
So what do you think for texture overall?
I'm gonna fill the mouthfeel 2 seconds.
Oh yes, of course.
I think there's 3 different textures in that cheese, which could make it feel a bit fragmented, but I do actually think they work quite well together.
Mm.
Should be rind if you're eating some of the leaf on it. That breakdown, which is going already because you kind of swallowed that and eaten that as part of the chewing process. And then it is actually a softer core, it's not too solid in that core. So I think the texture's good.
And those elements balance well across the...
Maybe it is a little bit fragmented in terms of there's 3 textures, maybe there should be less textures and maybe a bit more balance in terms of paste to ooze. And that kind of
yeah. I think it's because it is a little bit overripe on that. I think if it was a bit less, those would harmonise better. You'd still have that bit of breakdown, still that bit of chalkiness in the centre, and then the leaves as well would add up to a bit more than they do.
So what do we think overall for texture?
Say 7.
Yeah, I was thinking 7 as well. Yeah.
7. Lovely. And finally, flavour.
Oh.
You were saying you didn't think it was cow. Is the flavour giving anything away on that front?
Steve might be right with sheep.
I think so.
I think having tasted things in the past of sheep, that's kind of very similar.
Mm.
Let's go with a spoon at some of this actually.
I don't think the flavour add is too intense. I don't think there's any. It's maybe similar to the Yark style cheese. There, I think you gave them less flavour from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it works in conjunction with the cheese if you eat them both together, don't you? So
yeah,
definitely want to encourage people to eat with the leaf rather than
leaf around it. Yeah.
Leaf.
Yeah. So what do we think overall for flavour?
It's got a nice one. It's got that kind of almost, I think it is sheep, that kind of sweetness, that kind of savoury note to the especially the oozy part of the paste. Has got a nice freshness to the core, the centre bit. You could say 7 again.
Yeah, I think it's a solid 7 for me, that one.
Right, 7 it is. I'm glad we're not getting into arguments. This is good. Which gives us a 33 for that, which is very respectable indeed. Which brings us to D3 1125.
A little, oh, sorry, please one there, yeah.
1125, yeah. A little
1125, yes.
Yeah.
Aha. So, starting with appearance.
These appearances, it's just a waxed cheese.
No idea what to expect.
I don't know what to expect. It's not very, I don't find it very striking. I know some people love to kind of grab and go with these types of cheeses. You see them at lots of food shows.
Mm.
They don't appeal to me personally. And I can't really tell what the cheese is going to be like. So I'm maybe a bit wary, less than excited or thinking, oh, what, you know, whereas the previous one with the leaf on, you're like, oh, that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Simon. That previous one just draws me in because it looks,
Yeah.
it's more natural, I suppose, with the leaf rather than the wax. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, like I say, it's like, well, this could be anything. It could be cheese, it could be chocolate, it could be,
Yeah.
you know,
Steve, it's definitely cheese. I've been assured it's definitely cheese. If it's chocolate, we're on the wrong Zoom call. Well, I mean, obviously, appearance includes sort of cutting into the beast. So you know, obviously, for now, it's as wax a truckle as any wax truckle. So,
I always find them awkward to get into as well.
Yeah. And
so first impressions on that.
Okay, so it's definitely cheese.
Great.
There's an even distribution of the flavour added.
Yeah.
But I find, and mine, your knife probably looks sharper than mine, Steve, but my knife has pushed the wax through the cheese.
Mine has as well. You can see just kind of there.
As well, yeah.
That's the wax rather than the flavour add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you'll be eating wax.
Yeah. Not so good.
So overall appearance at this stage.
5, Jen.
I was going to say a 4.
Yeah, I was going to say 4, but I didn't want to be horrible. But
should we say 4?
I don't think we're being horrible. I don't think we're being horrible because I think there's very little to discern from the outside.
Yeah.
And then obviously one has to cut into it to open it, and it although the cheese itself looks reasonably well put together, you do have this issue with the wax pulling through and stuff, which affects
the appearance. And,
yeah. It's a valid point. So should we go 4.5?
Let's go 4.
Okay, go 4.
Let's go 4.
Stick to 4.
Yeah, 4 it is. Texture. Oh, sorry, aroma. Because you won't have got any from the outside.
No. It's got, you know, that kind of sweet aroma to it. I know sweetness is obviously like the
I know,
taste.
yeah, I know what you mean. It's that kind of sweet.
But I think that comes from these types of cheeses, which it's kind of extruded, those types. I think that affects that.
Yeah. It's a very familiar, yeah, it's a very familiar aroma because of yeah. And that definitely to me is the cheese and not the flavour add.
Yeah.
Are you getting the flavour add aroma at all? Is there, I mean, can you tell what it is yet?
I don't think so. Can't tell what it is yet.
By the aroma, it would suggest some kind of caramelized onion smell, but you know that.
Yeah, doesn't tie up with the appearance though, does it?
The appearance doesn't. It's not got any onion in it. It looks like herb or spice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's plow on to texture.
To score the aroma.
Well, I was going to say we might want to maybe we'd have once we get maybe look at aroma when we get to flavour as well, because I was feeling that whatever aromas it has might be more tied up with the eating part of it.
Texture.
So
Got that bend and break, which I was mentioning previously,
Yeah.
which is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of almost a kind of a soapy texture, isn't it?
Yeah, the way with that kind of where it snaps and you get those lines. It's soft.
So when you broke it open, did it add anything to the aroma at all when you sort of actually got to break it like that?
No, I didn't get anything else.
Similar.
So if we were going to score aroma now, having broken it open and cut it, and what do we think?
Five.
I think it's a 5. There's something familiar about that, which is comforting because it's not unpleasant,
Sure.
but
A bit nondescript almost.
yeah, it could be. Yeah, and as you said, Simon, really about flavour add.
Bit vague. Okay.
Yeah.
And texture-wise, now we've cut further into the beast and had a bit of a munch on it. We've got it sort of bend and break and a bit soft.
That softness is that. It's mouth coating. Just about mouth coating this to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit of crunch.
I think crunch could also be coming from like almost like a Helvetica starter, that kind of crunch, and also the flavour add.
Yeah.
They're both going on there.
Yeah, I agree.
Sweetness. And I'm going into flavour a little bit, but I think that kind of sweetness to the paste is maybe that different starter.
So what do we think to texture as a score?
Texture's okay.
Yeah.
It's what you'd expect from this type of cheese. So it's not actually, it's not bad.
No.
It's what you'd expect from this.
For this kind of cheese, it's perfectly.
It's well executed for the style. So.
6, 7,
6. 6. I said 6.5.
6.5. Let's do it.
6.5. Okay, and flavour.
Again, sweet. Peppercorns again. It's that kind of ground black pepper.
And the pepper's not overpowering. It's not bringing up as much heat as some of the previous peppercorn cheeses. So that's kind of been dialed down in this a bit, which I guess is the balance of the sweetness.
Yeah. I do think those sharper flavours from previous cheeses work better with the pepper than the sweetness of this one.
Yeah.
Now looking at it, you can see there's maybe some peppercorns, but that is the flavour add looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has turned that kind of grey colour, hasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Like grey brown.
So overall flavour?
I'm thinking about 5.5.
Yeah, or if not 5.
Or 5, because we've had better examples of pepper.
Be like, but
yeah. No, I think you're right actually, because we've done 7s and that with some of the other peppery ones.
Yep. Okay, so that gives it a total of 23. 3 more to go for this session.
Wow, we're doing all right.
We're doing well time-wise, rocketing along. Which brings us to D3 1127.
So in vacuum again, but that may be just be for transport because it's from a cut cheese, from a whole cheese.
Yep.
Looks like some kind of youngish Gouda style.
Yeah, from the shape, it's a Gouda style, isn't it? Which is exciting. Mm.
So first impressions on appearance, what do we think?
I'm intrigued by this top piece of rind here.
Yeah, it looks like it's been sat on some kind of
Yeah, and on a
On
kind of
slats.
flaps or something. Yeah, I'd like to see the whole cheese.
Yes. The rind looks nice. I think the rind looks good.
Nice natural rind on that.
A cheese like this could have potential of mite damage as an aged cheese, but this looks pretty pretty good.
Yeah, it's a
Sure.
nice dry tech. That rind is a good feeling. There's some maturity. with
Nice.
it. Get that to that.
And the vacuum pack is giving it that shine, but I don't think we can
And it seems from where I'm sitting, it's got a nice little bit of difference in coloration across the rind into the center, which I always think looks nice.
Yeah,
Sort of
darken
represent shows you that it's had a bit of time and it's possibly going to have some different flavor profiles running across there as you get towards the rind or away from it. So overall on appearance, what do we think?
You can see the flavour add in there. You can see that looks evenly distributed. Maybe not so much here.
Yeah.
Quite a lot there, but that's also there's lots of holes there if you can't see that on the video here. Yeah, I think good appearance.
quite a nice looking piece of cheese, I would say.
Yeah.
Might, as you say, Simon, you might want to scrape it back a little bit just from the vac seal, but it's good.
What about a score?
Maybe an 8.
I think an 8. I was going to say 8 on that. Yeah.
8 it is.
Yeah.
That looks good. Great stuff. And the aroma? I noticed you stuck your nose straight in the bag, Steve, which is always a good way of catching whatever's there.
Yeah. Not a huge amount. I was expecting more of a punch than I got, but there's a nice earthiness to the rind.
Yeah, I'm getting that earthy note. I don't think the flavour added is cumin or anything like that. It could be something more herbaceous, but I'm getting that kind of, that earthy spice note,
Yeah. Yeah, it's not an aromatic add, is it? Hmm.
And you can see visible pieces of herbs in it as well. Or
Yeah.
Talk or whatever, so it's not a spice, but
No.
smells good though. It's got that kind of
Yeah, it's drawn me in.
it's making me think, oh, what's this going to taste like? So
Yeah.
All right, so aroma-wise, are we going to take a punt on aroma? What do we think?
Say 7.
Yeah, say 7.
7 it is. Texture? Want to get cutting into it and
Well, as a cheese, you can see it's got that.
yeah,
Nice bend to it.
bend.
I think there's that firmer rind, so grind to paste as well. Different textures in the cheese, which is good on the palate down the line.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of. It's much more supple, and a bit in the centre. That's the rind. It does firm a lot better.
Than maybe thought.
Mm.
Got quite a smooth paste.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Slightly
Too cloy for my liking.
It's very mouth coating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So texture, once we've had a nibble on it, what do we think to the texture?
I like the texture. I think it's good. Maybe 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
Steve?
I was thinking 6, so let's go 6.5.
6.5 then. And obviously the flavour, which I guess brings in all of the above, but do we know what the flavour add is? Is it coming through strongly or?
I'm finding, you know, sage and onion stuffing, that kind
Okay.
of sausagey, kind of sagey note to it. So I'm presuming
Yeah.
there is some form of sage in there.
Yeah, I think so. It's quite a strong flavour add, I think. Among the stronger of the ones that we've had.
It's quite different to what
And
I've
how
had.
does it?
Had a lot of pepper and chili. This is the
Yeah.
first, a bit different.
And how does it sit with the flavour of the cheese in terms of a balance?
I actually think it's quite well balanced. You can still
Yeah.
taste it. You've got the sweetness from the mate, which I think is nice.
Okay, so what sort of score do we think?
Flavour-wise, I could say kind of 7.5, 7, 8. I don't know.
I think it's I think it's a good example of it. I mean, there's a lot of these kind of goudas with herbs and spices. I think it's a good example. I really like the rind.
Karen, sorry.
The rind's good.
It is good.
Yeah, I
It's
got it.
house cheese that's made standard, and then they've added different variations to their range. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I think it's quite good.
So what do we
That's
think? Flavour
8,
8, was it? 8?
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with that.
I'm going to go for 8 for that one. Right. And I think it's interesting. It's always exciting. I think it's always exciting when there's something going on with the rind. I think it just always brings that extra dimension, not just in terms of the sort of profile as you roll through the cheese itself, but also actually eating the rind on its own. You get an extra sort of. It's like a bonus round.
A lot of what we've had so far, flavors added to the rind or coverings of the rind. This is the first, I think, maybe proper rind, apart from maybe the orangey one we had before.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This is a rind with a bit of something to it, which I was like, great. Alrighty, so 33.5. Right, which brings us to the penultimate D3 1132.
Could be Shane's producer.
Could be good. It's a similar shape. It's a similar style from looking.
Peter's yards keep going out of focus.
Right, great.
So
It looks like it's chili in it.
there is kind of red or orange.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead here, but again, get that lovely rindy earthiness straight away, right off the bat.
And just as an appearance, a piece of cheese, it looks, because it looks like it's been cut from a bigger cheese and it's got that rind on it, it makes it feel a little bit more authentic and artisan. That's a nice look.
Put some care on this.
Mm.
They've obviously marked up batch code or date code on the outside with a
Well,
yeah.
It looks great. So what do we think for appearance?
It's a good looking piece of cheese, I think. I'm intrigued as to what the ad is. I like that the ad is sort of like little bits rather. Sometimes some of these flavor added goudas, the whole paste of the cheese is bright red or green or whatever, depending what.
Yeah.
This is way more soft. Yeah, you can see the cheese.
So what do we think for a score for appearance?
I think maybe slightly higher than the last one, just for the colour effect of the red through the cheese rather than the greeny brown.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it?
So we gave the last one 8, so you're thinking 8.5, something?
8.5 is fair, yeah.
Let's do that.
Cool. Aroma.
Yeah. I love that earthiness on the rind.
I'm getting some more kind of sweetness coming from it as well, that kind of a bit more fruity from the actual cheese.
Yeah, I am as well.
Might just cut a bit of a little width.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think the flavour added as much as aroma-wise is as strong as the previous one.
No.
But that doesn't mean it won't taste stronger than the previous one. Got a nice aroma.
Yeah, I like that.
It's quite simple, quite sweet.
Yeah. Definitely drawn me in.
Yeah, I think this if this cheese didn't have a flavour added, I think that's what this cheese would probably smell like.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's good. It's a good indication of what their plain cheese might taste like.
Yeah.
So what do we think for aroma score-wise?
I could
Oh,
say
I'm going to go 8.5, 8.
8.5. Let's do it.
I like it.
8.5.
I like that a lot.
And texture. It clearly cuts and it bends. It's got a nice bend to it.
Yep.
With enough bend and crumble to.
Mm.
Similar to the last, it's got that kind of mouth coatingness.
But a nice give in the mouth. It doesn't crumble when you chew it. It's
Snaps well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what are we thinking score-wise for texture? Now
I can't remember what we scored the last one now, but I think maybe a 7.
we gave the last one 6.5.
Mm.
So it's there or thereabouts.
no
What do
texture.
you
This is
think?
I slightly prefer the texture on this to the previous one, so I would
Yeah.
say.
Let's go 7.
Mm.
Because the last was 6.5. And if this is a slightly better texture, we'll give it that extra half a point. And overall, chaps, the flavour. Do we know what the add is? Is it obvious? How does it
I
sit
think
with?
it's got seeds and it's got flex through it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Not too strong, I don't think. It does kick at the back end.
It does, yeah, but it's not overly strong at all.
I actually think the cheese is maybe a little bit too salty. And I think that's trying to lift the flavour of the cheese without the flavour added.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the flavour adds a little. There's a little bit incongruous with the cheese.
Yeah,
I like this without the flavour add.
yeah. I think as a plain cheese, it'd be lovely. It'd be excellent.
Mm.
Flavour add might knock it a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was expecting a bit of a more interesting flavour.
Yeah, at first I have to say, again, if I was blindfold, I'd be maybe struggling a bit to identify what the flavour add was,
Mm.
because it doesn't give that much heat at all.
No. Maybe that was the intention. Again, like the other chili one we had earlier.
Could well be, couldn't it? Yeah,
Hence, maybe they didn't want it to be intense.
yeah. And everyone's tastes are different,
Gentle
aren't they?
heat.
I think there's always an argument for, obviously, particularly with chili, because I think some people will buy a product that has chili in it because they like that hit of little bit of dopamine you get from chili, and chili and cheese both deliver that in spades. So again, against expectation, if this was sold as a gentle chili product, it doesn't look like, if it was a lot redder and had a lot more product in it, you'd be expecting a lot more. But it looks, the appearance is that sort of subtle chili flavour to it, and that's what it's delivering.
Yeah, those little pops. If you've got like a seed that you've bitten a seed, or you've kind of got a bit of the chili, you'll get the hit. If not, you'll get the cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does, and that heat just actually does build gently in the background over time while we've been talking. That's just built, but not to the level that some of the other ones did do. But that's not a bad thing.
No.
I did prefer, it's the same producer, the sweetness of the previous one. So this should have, I think this should have that sweetness and less saltiness with that.
Yeah, that would work really nicely.
I'm listening to myself. I'm happy with like a 7 maybe for this, for flavour.
I think 7 as well. Yeah, I'd agree.
Right. That one has actually scored slightly higher than the previous one.
Yeah.
Really largely based on the aroma profile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our final cheese for this stage, this class, ladies and gentlemen. D3 1149 should be the last one you have left. Yep.
So yeah, talking about how much is in there.
Ah, yes. Probably a good idea this was the last one by the looks of that. So, appearance.
Looks like it might have been in some form of vacuum pack or wax with the markings on the back. I don't know if you can see mine there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the taste. Doesn't really have a rind, so
Yeah, it's a rindless cheese. So see it there as well.
Mm.
Appearance-wise, it's got the orange colour. It's got an even amount of flavour add to it.
Yeah.
I mean, people would be attracted to it because it's red. People love a red cheese anyway. You know, I don't sleep at your shop. You get people flocking the red cheeses. It's an attractor.
Yeah, they're drawn to it. Yeah, they stand out, don't they? Yeah. So yeah,
I'd probably say a 6 or a 7 for appearance.
I would say well, let's go 6.5 then. And split the difference on it.
6.5 for appearance. And how are we for the aroma? Would have a whiff on it now and maybe break or cut a piece and have a.
You can actually smell the chili. So if you think when you're putting chili in your kitchen for food, or if you do anything like that, the chili does have that aroma that you get left on your fingers or on the knife.
Yeah. The cheese has got the similar aroma to the last peppercorn one.
The wax one.
Yeah, the wax one. So probably a similar starter.
I like the fact you can smell the flavour add of this one because, like the previous chili ones we've had, don't have like a chili smell. This does smell like fresh chili.
Yeah, there is that. That's a plus.
Well, I can't see from here because it's not great, but does it look like the flavour add is sort of homogeneous? It's all the same thing, or are there different things in there that you can see? Any variation in those bits? I can't quite see from here.
All the same flavour add. You have those left is where I think it's kind of still curdy there. So
yeah,
like it's a pressed or like a processed cheese almost.
Yeah.
So the other colours are cheese, not flavour add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So aroma-wise, what do we reckon?
Maybe 6.
I think 6 again. Yeah.
Fresh ingredient.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice touch that the fresh chili aroma is a nice touch.
And the texture, you've already broken into it, and it's
again, it's kind of soft. It's quite pliable when you kind of can put it in your fingers a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit that sort of Play-Doh type texture that you
get
these stars of cheese.
It's got that kind of mouth coatiness. You get the flavour, the texture in every part of the mouth, as well as maybe it lingers a bit too long. Maybe it sticks on your top palate a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. To me, it's not coated as evenly as some of the others that we've tried today.
And dare I say, pretty hot.
Yeah, we're going into flavour now, aren't we? But yeah, sweet as well.
Yeah,
it's very
hot
sweet.
and sweet.
Straight away was the sweetness was what I got. I think 5 on the texture.
Yeah.
5 on texture. I mean, flavour-wise, it's clearly delivering what it promised with the appearance.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Right.
And actually, I've just got a bit there where the heat has built up quite a lot, quite quickly, which to mine taste is just kind of riding over the cheese too much.
I think the flavour add is quite dominant.
Yeah.
And I think the sweetness is quite dominant. I'm not sure they work perfectly together. People will like this cheese because it's, you know, people love sweet, people love like spicy.
Sweet chili is a flavour people know and love.
Mm.
And I think because you have that sort of play off between the heat is neutralised a little bit by the sweetness, and then you've got the creaminess of the cheese behind that. That's I think that's the kind of what they're aiming for with it, is how successful that is as a balance thing.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually being sold as a sweet chili cheese rather than just a chili cheese.
Yeah.
I think that to me tastes like that's the intention.
Usually sauce.
Yeah.
It's interesting doing these tests, these tastings as blind tastings, because I think quite a lot of the flavor add thing has a lot to do with expectation. So if somebody says try this cheese, it's got X, Y, Z in it, then you kind of, that's a different experience to tasting it and trying to work out what it is, if you know what I mean. So I think we're not sure. So if this was sold as a sweet chili cheese, literally everything we've written down here would go, well, that's ticked all the boxes.
Yeah.
You know, so it is. I think it's one of the hazards of blind tasting that you're not quite sure what it's supposed to be like because you don't know what it's called. I guess.
That's right.
But,
without the intention.
So what do we reckon for flavour finally for this one?
A bit too much and a bit too fragmented for me, so 6 generous.
Yeah, I'd
Steve?
say 5.5. Because to me, the heat just kind of marches over everything else for me on that.
Should we say 5.5? Great stuff. Right, well, gents, that is the line. Let me just input these numbers into our master system, and then I can run through who scored the highest mark on this one, and we can come up with the first, second, and third. And can I just say we're doing very well for time, I believe. Right, so let me just have a quick look at this, and I need to concentrate ever so slightly because I think we have oh, that was close. One, 2. So the winner is I shall do them in reverse order. I'll do them in reverse order. It's far more exciting that way. Some sort of drum roll should occur at this point. So we're coming in at 34.75. We have D1012, which was the little hard one in the muslin ball, the muslin bag thing.
Oh,
that the grateable one.
This one.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That came in at 34.75.
That's third place.
And then next up with 36.75, only 2 points in it there. The one in the jar, the one in the oil, D3111 came in second, and then the winner overall for this class is D31079. Not, yes, it is. No, it's not. Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. Let me just double check. Actually, no, I'm wrong. It's not. This is why it's dangerous doing this. Let me just double check this. Well, no, it's like the Oscar a couple of years ago, isn't it? Actually, the winner is, I've got it wrong. So we'll start again. Got it wrong.
Rewind this back, and you can always edit it down.
Yeah, we'll do this backwards. So actually, no, it's because it's really hard looking at all these. I've got a lot of numbers in front of me, chap. So yes, so the winner actually second. So the jar 111. I've got notes and everything. So the jar is actually number 3.
Okay.
Third is the jar, which is the 1111. Second is D1079, which is the yard. You know it is. That is the second.
Yeah.
And the winner is actually D3 1007, which is the third cheese that we tasted.
Ah, this one.
Yeah.
One, yeah.
Little soft one with the garlic and salt.
Yeah. And it pretty much won that based very much on flavor and texture. You just gave it 9s. And that's what
we beaten that one, so I get that.
Yeah. So those are our winners.
With a lovely selection.
There they are.
Yeah, nice little cheese board there.
Yeah, exactly. Okie doke. So right, and I'm just going to check that. I now have to say once more, we're now at the end. So those are the winners. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to wrap up a little bit early, which isn't a bad thing. Unless anybody's got any comments in general. Thank you very much. Have you enjoyed judging?
Yes, it's been very good. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
Really good fun.
Great stuff. Well, like I said, thank you very much for your hard work, and I think it's been really interesting for me. I mean, I don't think I've ever been so hungry. Sitting watching people eat delicious cheese, but it's been really good, and I think you've done well in terms of judging it, because I think we kind of focused on, this particular category can be some people just don't like this category, but I think it's important I think we all judge very, very fairly against expectation, which I think is the key to these things. So thank you very much for your hard work and very good judging. Again, the category finals are on Tuesday, the 14th of May, and the grand final is on Wednesday, the 15th of May, with the award of the Supreme Champion for 2024. Again, I'd like to thank Butler's Farmhouse Cheeses for sponsoring our aprons, and of course Peter's Yard for their crackers. And that, I think, is all for now. So I'm going to hit the stop button, but bear with.